Hello and welcome. Let me extend a very warm welcome to you. This is podcast 19, I believe, in a 20-part series that has taken originally supposed to be 3 months to do, and now it's been maybe a year and a half. However, we will get there in the end, one step at a time. So, I've taken a lengthy hiatus from the podcasting world. What have I been doing, you may wonder? And you may not wonder, but you certainly have my permission to wonder. Just at a bit of a roundabout here. People don't get them in Canada. And, thank you. And, yeah, well, the usual, back in Canada, busy. It is January 24th. Today it is 4 degrees Celsius. I can still see some snow on the mountains on the North Shore, but rain over the last week or so has kind of fucked up the snow a little bit, so not quite as good. We had a cold spell there, which was good for got a few good snowboarding sessions in with that. Took a few nice face plants. I had one particularly brutal fall. I was coming over this big roller, kind of like a jump, and I was absolutely rocketing. I don't know how fast I was going, but I was fucking ripping it, and I was like real. I had just hit the vape, so I was fairly baked and pretty involved in what I was doing. So like real locked into the zone, and a little bit too relaxed, and whatever happened, you're always supposed to kind of keep an edge so you've got control, and I just got caught for a millisecond in that no man's land zone in between my two edges where the board is just completely flat on the snow and I've got no traction or control, and in that millisecond the corner of my board caught like a little lump of snow and the nose just kind of jammed into, and I was absolutely flying, and I did a big like kind of cartwheeled about 3 times in a row. I don't know how fast I was going. At a rough guess, I'd say I was going at least 50 kilometers an hour. Like it's hard to gauge, but I was going very fast. And yeah, I must have rolled and fallen for like a good 20 meters before landing in like a crumpled, panting mess with like just like the wind knocked out of me and like snot coming out of my nose, and just like trying to feel all my bones and just going like, did I get away with it? And I did, luckily enough. I was just a bit shaken up, my neck was a bit sore from the whiplash of it, but like no concussions and no lasting impact damage to the skeletal structure of my body. Anyway, that's that. Aside from that, lots of jiu-jitsu, getting fucking destroyed some days, doing better other days. It's the never-ending food chain that is Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Some days you're on top and other days you're not. Some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail. And it's just, it's tough, it's frustrating, and it's like, it's mentally, it's exhausting. Especially where I train, there's a lot of good guys there, and there's also a lot of good guys that come in and out like visitors. So there'll be somebody that you never met before, and you could just roll with them, and like one day they'll be, you'll be able to handle them no problem, and then some other guy, some Clint Eastwood stranger comes in unassuming, and he will just absolutely demolish you. But that's the nature of the sport. You just got to take the hidings, and you're usually all the better for it. So I've been finding my strength is feeling good lately because of all the gymnastics work, but my endurance is not. So my dear friend Rory advised me to start getting a little bit more scientific about it and start tracking heart rate monitor, and start tracking activities like and keep it at about 60% max heart rate, and that will help me get my aerobic work output up, and it'll be easier to monitor and easier to implement. And he also said, instead of going on like a half marathon once every 2 weeks, he's like, it's way better to just do like 20 minutes, half an hour, like 2 or 3 times a week, that your body will adapt much more efficiently if it's like little and often, rather than like bombarding it every couple of weeks with a monster session. So I have yet to get that going, but that's in the pipeline. So that's a quick update on the jiu-jitsu front and the training front. The reason that I thought it was worthy of making a podcast today is that last couple of weeks, maybe even months, I'm not sure, but I found myself thinking a little bit too much for my own good, and it's starting to manifest itself in like physically, and tension in my shoulders, my neck, and all that kind of stuff. And you could argue that it's just to do with overtraining or whatever, but I don't think so. I honestly think it's a manifestation of mental stress. And now I don't really have a whole lot of stuff to be stressed out about. There's nothing major going on. It's just like I think it's just I am overloading myself with information and data. At work, I'm at the computer all day doing engineering shit, so you're kind of thinking and doing stuff anyway. It's somewhat mentally engaging, but like, at home, I'm always if I'm not at training and I'm chilling out at home, like my idea of chilling out at home is usually like maybe I'll be watching TV, maybe I'll play the PlayStation, maybe I'll play some guitar, or even if I'm just chilling out, stretching, rolling, relaxing, like I have a podcast on, or I have something on. There's always some sort of information or like input, just like every waking hour of the day. I'm like looking stuff up, I'm learning shit, I'm like watching shit, reading shit, listening to shit, and it's just I think that's what it is. I think it's just I'm doing too much stuff, and my brain, like I haven't had a chance to like let my brain off the hook and just chill out. Like I used to be quite good when I was in Scotland at doing 10 minutes of meditation in the morning. And it's a maintenance thing. It's like a mandatory maintenance thing, especially when your brain is as busy as my brain is. And like, what's it busy doing? It's busy, most of the time it's busy talking absolute fucking muck. Just like thinking about like situations or occasions that happened, maybe something that could have happened 10 years ago. A conversation that I had with some shopkeeper in Wexford 10 years ago about how much something was. Just some stupid shit. And it's what's happening is it's nearly like a wild stallion. It's just my mind is just like bucking all over the place, and I can't and I've let it get out of hand, and then I go through these mad fucking thinking loops, and I think this is quite a modern thing. Like, this is just a neurotic tendency that a lot of people have. Some people don't have this problem, but I've always had a very active mind, always, and it can be to my detriment as well. I'm thinking shite, like it's running, it's on a treadmill, and it's just like it's just cycles of garbage, nothing useful, and I'm losing control of it a little bit. And when I was doing meditation frequently, I had a much better handle on it. I'd be able to just calm. I would think about my mind as just a pond or like a lake, and I would just if I was regularly meditating, I would just be able to calm the lake and just kind of shut down all these thoughts. And basically, I just haven't been meditating. About once a month I'll go into the float tank for an hour and a half, and then I do meditate then, and it's great. But the last 2 times I've went in, I go in there and it's basically just like my mind. I let my mind, like, often you go in and you just have to let your mind think itself, like like a little child. You just have to let it run around and wear itself out. And I usually I'll do that. I'll be like, okay, have fun, think as hard as you want. And I'll be thinking about like jiu-jitsu and skateboarding or whatever. All these kind of things that you can think. Yeah, you can draw, a good mental. You can create a good mental video of techniques and options, and it actually really helps in like just learning and skill development and stuff like that. Is kind of visualizing the techniques. I find it's really helpful. But the last few times I got in there, I just haven't. Both times my mind has just been full of shit for like the whole period, and I haven't reached that state of tranquility that is really the goal of diligent meditation. And it's been a while since I've got there, and I did get there a few months ago, and I reached a state of like complete tranquility, and I'd never done that before, and I was like, that is what you're looking for. And then obviously as soon as I noticed that I had gotten it, I lost it. But that's the game. So I guess this entire podcast is me just telling myself I need to start fucking meditating. Excuse the language, if you would. But maybe if you're out there listening, and maybe it's more than likely it's just going to be me listening to myself at some point in the future, because these have turned into more little journal entries than podcasts. But whatever. What am I going to do about it, you might wonder. Well, I guess the best course of action, now that I think of it, I considered driving to work a bit early and then just sitting in the car, but like, I don't want people, well, actually I don't really give a fuck, but I think the place to do it is before I leave the house. After breakfast, go out into the car 10 minutes early and just do my 10 minutes in the Jeep before I leave for work. That's what I'm going to do. That's the answer. That is the answer. That's what I'm going to do starting tomorrow. So, maybe I'll do another podcast session tomorrow. Let's just cover a few other current events and topics that are in my brain these days. I'm reading Steve Martin's autobiography, Born Standing Up. It was a hot recommendation. A lot of people are saying it's a great book. I'm about 75% through it now, and I have to say it's okay. By no means, I don't know. It's okay, man. It's about his career, and he started a job in Disneyland, and then he just was like. I assume all comics have to go through the same growing pains, but he was like pretty brutal in his early years, but he just was committed enough to stick it out, and now he's starting to do opening shows, and he's trying to make it in LA, and it's tough, and nobody wants him on, and he's been on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson a bunch of times. It just kind of gives you a little snapshot into the world of stand-up comedy in the 60s, 70s when Steve Martin was coming up. It's interesting, it is interesting, but it's not like it's not a page-turner autobiographies that I loved were, I loved Richard Branson's, I loved both of Roy Keane's books, I loved Andre Agassi's book, who else? I loved Anthony Kiedis' book. I like Slash's book. There's a bunch that I really loved that I thought were absolute page turners, and I would not say, in my opinion, that Steve Martin's is one of them. So that's that book. A book that I really enjoyed was Brandon Sanderson, The Stormlight Archives, Book 1. I can't remember what it's called. Book 1 of Stormlight Archives. And it was massive, epic fantasy. It's a fucking huge book. I didn't realise how big it was because it was on my iPad. It took me months to finish it, but it was a brilliant book. Mad, sort of, I wouldn't say Lord of the Rings style, but like just a big, mad, epic saga, and I loved it. And actually, those kind of books are fantastic at night time to just to shut your mind off. Maybe that's the thing, man. Since I finished that book, meditating and reading those big epic fantasies. Maybe that's the key. Anyway, I digress. That's the end of the podcast. It's been a long one, 15 minutes. Apologizers. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more brief the next time. And I've got another one to do after this, and that'll bring us up to the 20 mark. So, be good. Exercise passion and authority in your endeavours. And make sure you're feeling loose, stretch. Try identify any tight spots. Like me, could be a manifestation of mental stress. And the good way to get rid of it is massage, stretching, exercise, whatever. You already know this. Okay, be good. See you soon. Bye bye.